Welcome back to the Ubumfa podcast, uh, where we talk about something other than movies, for once. Uh, we actually do have other interests, and by other interests, I mean one other interest, which is football. Uh, which I don't know how often those two actually go together.
I feel like
Like,
it seems to be rare.
it does seem to be a little on the rare side, and I get people who like maybe know me mostly from movies, and they hear that I'm interested in football, and they're like surprised because they don't see that.
They're
Uh,
surprised every time.
Every time. I said we don't scream football to people, I guess, for some reason.
No.
Even though we do look like every single like fantasy football analyst ever.
Yes.
They don't ever be looking like they've actually played a snap of football in their entire lives.
Exactly.
And maybe it shows. I don't know. But we're here. We're here to talk about football, to share our thoughts, because the simple reality is that we have many on the subject that we share with each other every single day. Um, and we're pretty much on top of every single piece of NFL news that comes out every single day because we're chronically online. And so we're going to talk about division by division what we think of this coming year, a little bit maybe what we thought of last year. Uh, and yeah, just have our own honest conversation about what we think is going to happen with some of these players. And then as an added little twist, we're also doing a fantasy football draft right now,
At the
or
same time.
at the same time. In starts in about a minute, and we're on. This is maybe the opposite of a plug. We're on dog shit ESPN.
Absolutely horrible. It's unbelievable how they're one of, the biggest sports outlets, probably the biggest. It's got to be the biggest. And their fantasy is maybe the worst I've ever used.
Yeah,
It's
like
it's up
NFL.
there.
NFL.com's is not good, but it's always been like felt like a cleaner experience than ESPN's and a more readable experience. And also like, well, yeah, I don't know, not owned by Disney and all that shit.
Yes, that helps.
Um, yeah,
See,
it helps a little bit.
the movie talk will never leave. That much is true. And
That
this
is
all
that's
somehow
facts.
ties back to that with Disney
It
owning them.
does.
So,
Um,
especially when we've got
so,
other stuff out there like Flea Flicker and Sleeper, where
hmm
they're really great apps and they're not owned by mega corporation Disney. They work better.
yeah,
They're designed by people who seem to understand it better. It's
yeah,
baffling.
it's tough. Things will hopefully change. Seems like Sleeper had their shit together, and then recently,
Absolutely just
I don't know what to believe anymore. Our draft just started.
yes, it did.
Um,
Oh, it's me.
Andrew's on the clock. I am. What pick am I? Oh, I'm pick 9.
That is
Yeah,
unfortunate.
that's what it is. Now that all my boys are going to drop to me. This is this is
Honestly,
just a standard snake PPR draft.
it's
Nothing.
this has like suddenly become a little bit tough because we don't know what's really up with Joe Burrow.
Yeah,
Could
I
be
heard. I
affecting
think I heard today that Jamar Chase told Burrow to like sit week 1,
he
make sure
said
that
to
he's
sit
healthy.
for till week 5. That's what I read.
That's tough.
So maybe this is the worst pick I've ever made in the first round, but the deed is
I don't know.
done.
I have a feeling he's going to be okay anyway.
I do too. He's pretty
Um,
good. He's pretty good.
so talking about divisions, I have these kind of in an order, and for no particular reason, I have the NFC North first. Uh,
I see.
yes. I guess disclosure: I am a Vikings fan, and my colleague here is a Cowboys fan. So you may already turn this podcast off or keep it on just based off of that information. Anyway, NFC North has historically, I think, been it is one of those divisions that is one of rivalries internally. None of these teams really like each other all that much. Um, the Lions have always been kind of, they've been the Lions, so
Yeah, they have.
there's never been like a reason really to be too mad at them about anything because they don't really do much. Historically, though we were all rooting for the Lions to knock the Packers out of the playoffs in Week 18 last year,
Yes, we
and
were. And it was
that
glorious.
was glorious. But it's a division that's gone through quite the shakeup from the olden days of of Stafford and Rodgers, and Jay Cutler, or Mr. Trubisky. One of those sub 4,000 yard passers that the Bears have had their entire existence.
Jay Cutler.
Jay Cutler, smoking Jay, man.
Yep.
Maybe the best quarterback the Bears have ever had.
I think that's probably true.
Which I just thought about this recently, which I probably Bears fans thought about this before me. I'm on the clock. Lord have mercy. It's not a difficult pick. It's got to be Saquon. But like when when they drafted Justin Fields, and he's known for being a running quarterback. If I was a Bears fan, I'd be pissed. Like, can we get a guy who can sling the ball? Like, we just know he can. Just once? Is that too much to ask? And I know that's what they try to do with Mitch Trubisky. But
that didn't work out.
But I don't know if they should give up just yet.
Well, it is do or die for that man, Justin Fields, this year. He knows it. We know it. Everybody knows it. It is do or die. I mean, I guess we can kind of. I didn't plan on talking about the Bears first necessarily, and we can jump around, but it seems really like it's do or die for him. They put some pieces together around him, a couple pieces. He's got God, DJ Moore. He's got that other receiver that we already all forgot about.
You mean Chase Claypool, second round value?
Chase Claypool. They got rid of Demont, which we'll see how that works out. But
they did.
Justin Fields has a lot to prove this year.
Yeah, well, it's interesting though because the people were kind of wondering, okay, what are the Bears going to? They have the first overall pick because they suck ass, and they were kind of wondering, okay, do they actually trade out or do they stay, and do they pick a quarterback? And does trading out mean that they are committing to Justin Fields? And they did trade out, and the question is, does that mean that they're committing to Justin Fields for this year, for the long run? Obviously, if he's bad, but they kind of made their decision a little bit this past draft with saying we're not going to try again. We're going to at least sit one more year with this guy and see what he's got with all the reason in the world to succeed. Yeah, we'll see. I will say, as a Vikings fan, Bears fans, you guys have outdone yourselves this year with being fucking annoying. Like, please just win football games before you start talking shit. How's that? How's that for an idea?
They were really impressed with Justin Fields losing 10 games at the end of last season in a row.
I guess that's just what they wanted to see. That's what they've been waiting for. Because, like, I get it. You've got Vegas on your side for Justin Fields, like, for whatever reason. But and I understand there is hope. You have hope, and I see that. But just come on, just calm down. Even if he is good, you shouldn't be talking your shit until you've got something to talk shit about. Because y'all were literally the worst team in the NFL last year. And you know how many teams go from worst team in the NFL to playoff team, let alone Super Bowl contender? It's pretty fucking rare.
It does not happen very often.
So, yeah, just keep that in mind. Anyway, enough about the Bears. Let's talk about the Packers. Who, Aaron Rodgers has been in control of this division for a long time. I have no problem saying that. That's just the reality. Now, the Vikings are still the overall, historically, the kings of the NFC North. They have the most division titles, including last year. Yeah. But in the past, during Aaron Rodgers' tenure in Green Bay, he has been safely in control of the division, except for last year. And he's gone.
He's gone.
I don't know if people have heard about this. But he's gone. He's not there anymore.
See you later.
Indeed.
Unfortunate that I've got to play in week 2, but
Yeah, you don't escape the Rodgers, but we finally get peace. We do not play Aaron Rodgers a single time this year.
Golly,
which is just man. What a time to be alive. And it's Jordan Love's team. First round pick, Jordan Love's team.
Been
And
behind Aaron Rodgers for 3 years. Maybe learning a thing or two.
maybe.
I don't know. I couldn't really tell you.
But here, this is another quarterback where there may be situational excuses. The receiving core isn't the best the team has ever had. Um, they didn't have a great record last year. It's not like they're coming off of one of their like NFC Championship 13 win seasons. But I also feel like there's no excuses for Jordan Love either.
No.
Sorry, buddy. You've been in the league for you're going into your 4th year.
Yep. Contract year.
Contract year.
I don't know.
They did
I
that.
don't
They
know.
did that funky shit with his contract because they didn't just pick up. They didn't pick
Yeah.
up his 5th-year option. They did like the funky stuff.
That's right.
With it.
That's right.
You're gonna hear stuff like funky stuff in this podcast because I'm not an accountant. But he's gotta be able to pick up at least where the team left off last year.
Yes.
Or I have to assume he's toast.
Yeah. One of the two. And the little bits that we have seen of Jordan Love, which granted it really is very little, all things considered. It's very
Andy Reid did not remember playing against him.
Yeah. Which wow. What we have seen has not been particularly good in 3 years.
Well, have you not been paying attention to the training camp highlights?
Of course, but everybody's doing good at training camp this year. There isn't anybody who's having a bad camp in the entire league in training camp this year, is how it seems. That's what
That's
they
wild.
want to believe.
That's how it was last year, too.
Yeah, interesting. Oh, I'm on the clock.
Except 2 years ago when Jamar Chase had a bad camp.
Yes, that was classic. That was classic.
So yeah, Packers. Fuck the Packers. I hope they suck forever, and I hope. And it's funny. They've been having to deal with the sports media implying that maybe their starting quarterback isn't that good, and they're all like, "Stop saying that." And it's like, sorry, buddy, this is what every other team has to deal with every fucking year, and you're not special. And there's absolutely no evidence that you can present to disprove somebody saying that Jordan Love is not good, unlike Aaron Rodgers his entire career. So, sorry, you're just going to have to put up with it like everybody else.
We know a thing or two about people saying that our quarterback is not good. Trust me.
Man.
And Packers have
golly, you got
Packers fans deal with it for a little bit and lose their minds. They can't handle it.
Oh, it's a battle. But yeah, moving on to the Lions. Now, the Lions they're the NFL's darling now. They've got the hype. The hype train is built.
They do,
and it is unstoppable. It is unstoppable
by saying, that two of us, at least at some points of our lives, have lived in Michigan for most of it.
In the Detroit metro area.
Yep, we're near Lions fans, around Lions fans all the time.
Yep,
and have been through the few ups and mostly downs.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And so, honestly, of the teams that are not the Vikings, ones that I'm okay with seeing succeed and be decent this year, it's the Lions. I'm okay with it. If they want to be good, that's fine. Detroit deserves it. It's fine. But
will they be, though?
Feels a little bit like we're counting our chickens before they hatch.
Yes.
Because they were good last year. The offense was very good. And I expect it to be good again this year.
Yep.
If Jameson Williams ever plays a football game.
I don't know if we'll ever see it. We'll see. It kind of doesn't seem like it. And he is one of the few players where I feel like I was hearing negative things about him in camp. Granted, I guess I can see, with a suspension, that type of thing, that's just how the narrative might go anyway.
I'm not worried.
Training camp as closely as some other teams, like my own, but I'm not too worried about it either.
No, I think he's going to be fine. And I think if he stays healthy and stays on the field, he's going to be a problem, is how I feel, unfortunately.
Yes.
I'm on the clock again. I don't know what to do here.
I'm barely picking up and just picking.
Yeah. Fuck it. It's big cock season. But the defense was bad last year. And they've added some pieces.
Yep.
But they've got to be better. And this is coming from a Vikings fan. They're not going to make a deep run into the playoffs if their defense is like it was last year. Just like the Vikings. It's just not possible. It's not going to happen. You're going to get torched by the 49ers, the Eagles, the Cowboys, the Vikings, whoever. Might win a playoff game, but the deep run isn't there. You can't. Defenses do really win championships. So, and they've got some scary pieces there, but they got to put it all together.
I mean, D-line shaping up. I will give them that. Looks like that
Yeah.
D-line might be pretty nice this year. Okuda was a liability at corner. He's out. He's gone, which
Yep.
I think is just a straight up benefit because he was so bad.
Yeah.
But I mean, guys were getting hurt in camp, and everybody thought they should take a corner with that pick, with that one of those
What have
two
I done?
picks, especially that early one, and they didn't. So that's interesting. I mean, they took Gibbs, which I think I just drafted him. I think he's going to be a really good player, but it's just the value is not there. I mean, they say that he was going to get picked before their second pick at 18. I don't know if I believe it.
And yeah, I need to double check something. Jameer Gibbs. Oh no! Don't put me. Whatever Google Journeys is when I Google something needs to fuck all the way off because that
Google
is never.
Journeys,
It's like resume your journey. It'll like go back to some previous shit that you fucking
not your
were googling.
journey. Jeez,
Yeah, leave me alone. Like
you're mean.
don't fucking talk to me about that shit. Yeah, he's. I mean, he's 5'9", hovering around 200 pounds. We'll see.
We'll see.
It'll be an uphill battle to be as disruptive as people are hyping him up to be. He's not. Yeah.
I'd also
I
like
would.
to point out very quickly that the guy named I Can't Draft took Justin Fields, who we just
You
talked
know.
about. It's kind of
You
interesting.
know. They said it. I panic picked Kamara because I don't know. I did it. 3 games isn't that long.
Not that long, and
And
why wouldn't he be decent when he comes back?
yeah, I'm not a Condre Miller believer. Sorry.
Nope. No,
And Jamal
and
Williams will be fine.
yes,
He'll
Jamal
hold
will
down the fort.
get some touchdowns.
People forget they are paying Kamara money. He
Yeah.
did sign one of those big contracts back in the day,
Yes,
back when
exactly.
like Dalvin did. So, uh,
Just one of those spots where, man, if Kyle Pitts just had a quarterback, I'd love to take him here.
yeah, that'd be wild. And then all right, I'm gonna quickly talk about the Vikings since they're my own team.
Drake.
I'm not gonna. Yeah, Drake London.
I like Drake.
Not,
Drake even ate last year, so
yeah, he's a good player. He's gonna do fine. Vikings. Uh, just generally speaking, I think that our roster is better. I think our coaching staff is better. I think everything is generally better. We've lost some big names that people like to talk about. Dalvin Cook is an explosive player, but was not regularly efficient in the offense. He was just not worth the price tag. Sorry. I hope
no,
he gets the money somewhere else if he can, but it's not going to be in Minnesota.
don't think he's
Um,
anywhere.
Zadarius Smith didn't want to be here, so he left. Nothing you can do about that. Patrick Peterson, uh, you know, great veteran presence, made some big plays last year, but I mean, doesn't have the juice that Brian Flores needs in that offense, in that defense. Um, yeah, we've lost some guys, and I expect there's going to be some problems with pass rush. We did, I think, get a pretty good draft class, especially UDFA class. Ivan Pace has been excellent in training camp. What's the guy's name from Army that we got? Andre Carter or something. He's supposedly a beast. So I think there's some young pieces that maybe we're going to be able to work with. But overall, I think the defense is going to perform better, and it has to because we were like 31st in the NFL last year. And I think the offense is going to be better. So might have a few fewer wins, but I think we're still playoff bound as far as I'm concerned.
And just the way the division looks, like a few more wins will be enough. I mean, a few less wins will be enough, possibly. I mean,
Literally.
it seems like the real threat to Minnesota is Detroit. I just neither of us
Yeah.
believe the Bears very much. A lot of people do. I think they're full of it.
Yep.
Um,
I'll
and
believe it when I see it.
same with Jordan Love. I mean, that's how we both feel. And um,
Yeah.
God, I was invested in Jordan Love for years and years, and finally got him off my hands in a dynasty football league, and now I'm really glad that I can
Yeah.
admit.
Who'd you trade him for?
Oh, I traded him for Deshaun Watson and like some
Oh,
stuff. It was interesting
oh, that's
how
the
it,
guy that like touched all those women and had the women touching him in ways that
yeah,
against their consent.
yeah,
Okay. Oh, cool.
yeah, really bad. You know, unfortunate. Uh,
Yeah,
but
but hey, it's just business, baby.
it's just business. It's just business. You win some, you lose some.
You win some, you lose some. Ain't that the
And I can
truth?
tell you one thing: it's in terms of winning some. I think it's going to help my team. So, what can you do?
That's so valid. God, there's always tight ends. Nobody's taking tight ends.
No,
It's making me angry because I
I
took Hawk so early.
I'm hoping to get Goddard here if he stays. We'll see. I drafted London. I don't also want to take Pitts. Well, there goes Pitts. The thing with the Vikings too is it just seems like the media coverage of them has just been so negative, and people are
Yeah,
like, "Fuck, they're gonna be like this, they're gonna be like that," and it's yeah, they lost Dalvin, but it's like most other positions, it seems like they've literally just straight up improved that. They added Addison,
literally.
who is gonna be
Mhm.
great for them. I mean,
Right off rip, he's going to be a producer on offense that people are going to have to defenses are going to have to scheme for.
yes, and it just seems like Kirk Cousins really knows what's at stake this year. I think he's going to ball. People are taking Justin Jefferson number one overall in this league and most leagues we've done. Um,
Yep,
oh, speaking of, I'm taking Dallas Goddard. That's perfect. Um,
Dallas.
anyway,
Yep,
I I'm fully expecting the Vikings to repeat this year, and that's just
yep.
the reality of it.
And I think we're going to be built to make a deeper playoff run again. Like I said, that defense, there was zero, there was no way. There was no way. We made Daniel Jones. We made Daniel Jones so much money.
Yes, you did, which I do thank you for.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Um,
no way, I can't draft took another quarterback and he took Deshaun. I'll
that's
give me
wow.
Dak. I got no problem with round 9 Dak.
All right. Let's move on to the NFC South. Um,
Oh, before we move on, I had an
yeah, yeah,
idea. I don't know
yeah,
if you want
yeah.
to do this, but
Hmm.
I thought maybe we could say how we think the teams are going to finish. Not
Oh,
necessarily
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you can do that if you want, but that's a lot of work.
That's a good idea.
Just like first, second, third, fourth.
I've got a Vikings, Lions, Bears, Packers.
I agree with you. I think Packers and Bears could maybe go either way.
Oh my.
Honestly,
Yes.
I think they're going to finish at a similar record, which is going to be below 500.
Yeah.
I think the Lions are gonna probably do, I think, about as good as they did last year. We'll see. Maybe win another game or two. Could
That
sneak
would be
into the
something.
playoffs, but also I don't know. I feel like it's gonna implode. I have this feeling in my gut that it's just not gonna work out the way people think it's going to.
It's interesting that people haven't like also noted with the Bears, just like we don't have like there's no proof that the coach is good.
Yes, there is not at all.
Like at least we know. I mean, I have the Bears over the Packers, but at least we know Lafleur. Like
He's a good coach.
he's a good
Seems like
coach. Like
a coach.
he's got a brain between those ears.
Yep.
Eberflus, who the fuck knows?
Who knows?
Um, but yeah. NFC South. Interesting division.
The dog.
Right into the dog. They were a dog shit division last year, worst division in football. As far as I could tell. Um, are they going to be much better this year?
Mm,
No.
maybe
The Saints did the
might
only sensible thing.
it might even be
This,
worse.
I'll say the Saints and the Panthers were the only teams that did the sensible things, which is
Yes.
that they got quarterbacks.
Yeah.
The Saints got Derek Carr.
Great.
I fully expect Derek Carr to be ruling that division until Bryce Young's footballs drop, so to speak.
Yeah.
If you know
Absolutely.
what I mean. I'm on the clock again. And then Bryce Young probably has a pretty good future in this league. And then you got the other two teams.
Yep. The one that my Dallas Cowboys beautifully knocked out of the playoffs last year. Um,
Yeah,
Don't have old man Tom anymore.
no,
The other
no.
one seems like they might have the worst quarterback in the league in Desmond Ritter.
Yes.
And I'll eat my
Y-
words. I'll be happy to eat my words if they're decent, but I just don't think it will happen. And there's no reason for me to think that he will even be decent.
Here's the thing. Going into the 2022 draft, there was a lot of talk on the QB class. People had them ranked all over the place, and as many people remember, Malik Willis was kind of the big name that was talked about the most as being like, okay, this is the guy. If there's going to be a quarterback that's going to get drafted early, it's going to be him. The rest of them, they were all kind of like, oh, I don't know. Some people like this guy. Some people liked Ritter. Some people thought Ritter was the most NFL ready. Some people thought it was Howell. Some people thought it was Corral. Literally, any of those top guys, pick it. Somebody had an opinion where that was the best quarterback. The only team that drafted one of those quarterbacks and said, this is who we think is our franchise guy, was the Steelers. And they took that bastard and Kenny Pickett in the first round, hometown boy. And frankly, it looks like he does have a chance to maybe keep his head above water.
Yes.
None of those other quarterbacks were drafted with the intention of them being franchise quarterbacks. If they were, they would have been drafted earlier.
Yep.
I don't buy that was just that they slid and they were like, oh, we're just going to let him slide. No, there was if you looked at one of these guys and said he is a guy that we believe in who could be the future of our franchise, you would have drafted him earlier. So you did not draft Desmond Ritter as your quarterback of the future, and I think that was wise. And I think it's strange that they're going into the season with the expectation, like you draft a running back, a generational talented running back.
Even though they were a top 10 rushing team last year.
Yeah, with Tyler Algier.
Rookie.
Like,
and like
you have a great you
did stuff like we've never seen him do before. I mean,
he's
really
such a
was
beast.
it was a spectacle. It was amazing to watch. It was great story.
Minnesota Viking, we drafted that bastard.
Yes. Yeah, you did.
Yeah, we did. I just had to say that. But yeah, I mean, wasted Kyle Pitts in his first few years. I mean, he also had injury issues, but you've got maybe the most freakish specimen of a tight end in the history of the NFL on your team. You have an excellent second-year wide receiver in Drake London, he's good. You have a generational talent at running back.
Yes.
All you're missing is the most important position.
Yeah.
And you had an early draft pick this year. You probably had the trade capital to try and figure something out. You chose not to, and now we're gonna have to see how this goes.
Especially just head scratching when this is the year for any of these teams to win not the whole thing, but at least their division, because it is so wide open. So it's like capitalize and make a move.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, all the other pieces are there, at least on the offense.
Yes.
And
if Derek Carr had gone to the Falcons,
oof, come on.
But no, he went to the Saints, and now the Saints are my favorite by far to win the division because they're the only team that has a quarterback.
Yes.
And people are trying to talk their way out of this reality, but I just don't think it would be a sight to behold to have the Falcons without a quarterback manage to just grind their way above the Saints or even the Panthers. But yeah. Oh, and the Bucks they're the only other team besides the Cardinals that we can think of that are in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes. So that's what we think of them. Even though they still have a lot of talent on that roster, it's just a lot of holes too. And
Baker Mayfield or Kyle Trask, give me a break.
it's a tough one. That is a tough choice.
It's like picking between shit and shit.
It is a bit like that. Yeah, that's a good way to say it. It's a bit like picking between shit and shit.
They do also have my dog John Wolford, who should be a starter, if you ask me. He played for the Arizona Hotshots when the AAF was a thing for a year, like not even a full year, and that was the team I liked. So he's my dog, But anyway, he's not. He's definitely probably worse than both of them. So
yeah, probably.
Anyway.
I have this division ordered as, and I guess we didn't talk a ton in depth about like the Panthers, which I think the Panthers will be fine. Yes. But Bryce Young just needs to get his land legs, and maybe they can beef up
if
his weapons.
if Bryce pops, like if he gets on the scene and he's popping, it's like they could win the division. They really
Yes,
could. It's
yes,
possible.
they could. They could.
But it's
I
hard to
agree.
bet on really any first year QBs this time around. But I mean, this is another team too though that had a lot of change ups at with the coaching staff and
Yeah,
had Frank Reich come in who's like what, the QB whisperer basically. So if you
that's what
put
they
any
say.
stock in that, then maybe they'll be good. They've got DJ Chark. I mean, they lost they lost DJ Moore.
DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey, and
Yeah,
yeah,
added Miles Sanders, who I think will get a better shot here than he did in Philly. But
yeah, he'll be good. He'll be a good. He's a good player. He's seems like what I've been hearing from training camp is that they're running the ball a lot.
yeah,
So which again makes sense with a rookie quarterback. But they just don't have the offensive weapons really. I feel like to open up that passing game in a way that's going to be competitive with like New Orleans, where it's like I mean Olave is going to be a beast. Michael Thomas can stay healthy. Who knows? They got the greatest player in the entire NFL in Taysom Hill, most versatile, most athletic player in the
yeah,
history of the sport.
yes,
So there's that. I mean, really, when you think about it, the Saints have the top two quarterbacks in that division.
you're right. I think you are onto something.
Maybe even top three, depending on what you think of Jamie is.
Yeah, which who really knows? Because I don't think anybody ever got to find out.
No, they did. That was a fascinating little hush hush thing that happened to Genius there. Where yeah,
Well, and
that was
he's
interesting.
another fellow that's done some weird shit, some bad shit. So I don't feel bad for him, but it was
No,
still just head scratching, just from a football perspective. So he didn't even seem like that awful when he was playing for the Saints, but I don't know. I don't
I
care.
don't either. I can't imagine caring. What the fuck do I do here?
I don't
Just still
know.
draft backup quarterbacks. I
I almost never do.
was gonna say I don't really do that.
I
I
just
would
feel like
never
I'm
want
going
to
to
do
get
that.
more mileage out of taking a receiver, a running back, or even a tight end there.
Oh, I should have taken Elijah Moore. I regret that.
Classic.
Aha!
There you go.
Ah. I
Refilling
just
the
be it's I'm looking at these drafts. I'm like I'm just picking the same MFs every time they're available. It's like I've got like Montgomery and Brandon Cooks and Swift and Elijah Moore on so many teams. Just 'cause, like I like them at value, but
yeah, me too.
what
I've
can you do?
been taking Jamal a decent amount in a lot of these. I've been
Yeah,
taking Goddard in a lot of these just because even though there's a lot of target share in Philly, it's like he's a decent value in these, I think. And
yeah,
I like
literally.
I like Dak this year too. It's another one where it's like CD is going
Yes.
2.1, and people are like, "Oh, I don't want to take Dak." Like, okay, I
Dak be
get
like,
it.
I'm gonna throw for 4,000. I mean, Dak just does every single year what a Bears quarterback has never done.
Every every year.
Sorry, Bears fans, not really, but all right, let's move on to your division. Let's go to NFC East.
Oh boy,
Uh, just an
bunch of
absolute
I hate.
bunch of teams here, yeah, but and an absolute bloodbath of a division every single year.
Yes, and God, it's so entertaining to watch. We'll say that
Yep.
it's gonna be a bloodbath again this year. I think it's
Yes.
gonna be.
Yeah.
It's gonna be. I think a little different than last year, where I see the Giants and Commanders probably doing maybe a little worse,
Yeah.
and I see the Cowboys and Eagles probably doing about the same.
One of those bottom teams is going to implode. Whether it's the Commanders or the Giants, one of those teams is going to go off the rails. I feel like.
Yes, take the Saints D here. Anyway, um, I I don't know. We don't have to talk about the Cowboys first. Maybe we could talk about the Commanders because we did mention Sam Howell, who
Yeah.
people have put a lot of stock into that guy, and he did have a decent game against Dallas, against us, Week 18 or whatever. When Dallas wasn't playing for anything. Uh, but anyway, I mean, they've always had a lot of good pieces on that team. Terry McLaurin has been like a top receiver in the NFL with what 8 or 10 quarterbacks in like 4 years or something. I read been 1,000 yard
Yes.
guy pretty much every year, if not every year. Like literally, I think he has been. Um, Running back is kind of a head scratcher because I feel like they haven't ever known what they should do with that position since they had Adrian Peterson. And they didn't really quite know what to do, but I do remember he had some games where, man, he popped.
Maybe really
Commanders.
goated player.
Yes.
The
Defense is decent. Chase Young
defense is good.
nothing though. It seems like they don't even want to keep him around. Like, what an absolute bust. It's unfortunate
Yeah,
when they took that guy.
I mean he was a beast his rookie year, and if he can get back into shape, which it seems like as far as I've heard, that's the plan. If he doesn't get traded, that he's going to play.
Yeah,
And we'll have to see what he's got. That defense was good. It's a good
was.
defense,
It's a good defense.
And I think that is a big reason why I personally, if I'm choosing between the Commanders and the Giants, beyond just my personal hatred of the Giants now, my stock is in the Commanders' defense, doing some work and keeping them in games. And Brett Coleman brought this up in his podcast, and I never thought of this before, but I think they might be right. If the Commanders had started Sam Howell week 1 last year,
Yep.
they might have been in the playoffs.
I mean,
instead of the Giants.
Forget that they were a half game away from being in the playoffs.
Yeah,
it's because them and the Giants tied.
We look at the play of every quarterback. We got to see each quarterback play at least one game, and Sam Howell. Tell me, Sam Howell did not look like the best one,
Yes.
like the one that could have won them the most games.
He did. That is,
and so he's getting on. He's got another offseason. I mean, Ron Rivera, we'll see. Whatever. The dude was just saying, don't sleep on fucking Jacoby Brissett. So, like, I don't know if Sam Howell's in the best place right now. But if Sam Howell, he had some skills, just some basic NFL ready skills coming out of college. Beautiful deep ball.
He's athletic. He can run.
He was forced to run because all of his weapons went to college after his junior year, so they just made him run.
Yep.
And he could do it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited. I guess I'm in a place where Sam Howell is a player. I'm excited to see what he does with his opportunity. As one of those quarterbacks that was not drafted to be a franchise guy, but kind of Commander's going to Commander. Congratulations on getting rid of the Dan tumor.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to see if maybe that team can, get a better name, get better uniforms, and be a better team.
That would be cool. I think they can probably do all those things.
I think all are within reach.
I hope they do most of them. I just hope they keep losing.
Yeah, that's valid. Yeah, I don't know.
So how about
Jahan Dotson look good?
Yeah, he did. He really did. I mean, kind of a surprise.
Yeah.
Curtis Samuel gonna get a full year of him being healthy. Who knows what he'll be, but and they've got.
I heard him and Antonio Gibson are going to be battling for the Deebo Samuel role in that offense.
Yes. And then I was looking at the draft, and they took Forbes in the first round, who I was high on. So the defense is definitely going to be better. The offense has the pieces in place, possibly, to be really good. A lot of it's going to depend on Howell, but Sam Howell is also not in a position like Jordan Love or Justin Fields, where they've been around for 4 years, around other quarterbacks around the league. Justin Fields has been the starter, but he's got some promise, and I feel like they're going to probably be a pretty decent team. It could just end up being 3 teams from the NFC East again this year, making the playoffs.
It is certainly possible.
Could be.
Maybe even probable.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Giants. Man, I don't know. Dayball's good.
Yes. It seems like
unfortunately.
Yep.
Saquon's playing.
Yep.
Because he loves the ball.
I guess so.
He's playing for the love of the game.
And $1 million.
They got Waller,
who's going to be target number 1 because they have nobody else to catch the ball.
The disrespect on Paris Campbell's name.
Yeah. I don't feel that bad
Yeah,
about that.
no, I wouldn't either.
Wandale Robinson, Sterling
Uh-uh,
Shepard,
uh-uh.
Isaiah Hodgins. Like,
No,
okay,
no, I
I'm
don't think
leaving
so.
maybe somebody out, but like they signed Cole Beasley, who's
Seriously.
like actually at least most of his career was a productive receiver. So like
Yeah,
maybe it's gonna be him, but he's also like he's pretty old now. I mean, mid-30s, I think.
yeah.
So
Well,
might
it's
be
like,
nothing.
yeah, no good. Yeah, and then of course it all rests on the shoulders of Mr. Daniel, Mr. Jones, um, who, you know, has best year last year, which involved throwing less than 20 passing touchdowns,
Yep.
and a similar, a close number of interceptions.
Yes.
Um, so I'm very happy that the Giants extended him.
Me too. Me too.
Good
Me
for
too.
them.
And I just hope they continue to be mediocre. I mean, I'm also just fully expecting them to be worse.
I I I think the NFC is harder this year, and I think they're not going to be able to get away with
Yeah.
some of the bullshit.
Yes.
They're just not going to look as good. I think is the reality.
I agree.
Um, they don't play the Vikings or the Lions this year. I don't think so. You don't get the two easiest defenses
Well, and
potentially.
the thing is with the Giants is if and I'm not saying I don't want this to happen, but if you
it
lose Saquon, which has happened a lot of times,
is
you have
possible.
nothing. You have nothing. Which most
They
teams, if
will.
it would be their quarterback that you'd be talking about like this, not the Giants. It
Yeah,
Saquon, I mean, it's all over.
yes, and I'm very curious. Not that I'm going to be watching a lot of Giants games. I'm not, but I'm curious how defenses are going to scheme for that passing game. Like you're saying, if Saquon is not on the field, they have nothing to worry about
Yeah,
on the other side in the backfield,
exactly. I
and
mean,
then you just double Waller.
you double Waller the whole game, and that's it. And then they score no points.
Yeah. So that's what I'm curious to see. What is Dable going to cook up? What is the plan? Because all I've heard out of training camp is that they're just feeding Darren Waller,
Yep.
and I have to assume and they say it's because he's open, and I believe that he is,
Yeah.
but it's different in a game when defenses have weeks to have to scheme up against you, and they've seen what you're going to do and how your offense works, and yeah, we'll see. And also Waller has to stay healthy. Those are two
Yeah.
players that both
Yes.
have a history of injury
Yes. I didn't even
that you put your stock in.
slip my mind. And you're right. They both be getting hurt quite a bit.
They do. They do. So yeah, that's why my money's on the Giants being the team that implodes this year versus the Commanders. Now the flip side is the Eagles and the Cowboys. I honestly don't know which team is going to win that division. My bet is on the Cowboys just because of history with that division and how the Eagles would have to be breaking a trend to do it.
Yes.
Um, Also, I do think the Cowboys are probably straight up. I would probably say the better team, like just looking at the rosters, but just based off of what both teams did last year, I would say like the Cowboys have gotten better, whereas I don't. The Eagles have reloaded, but I don't know if they've actually improved the roster that much.
Yeah.
You know
I
what I mean?
I agree with you. I feel like we're just gonna end up talking about both of these teams in tandem, and I mean one of them's mine, so I'm gonna be saying my Cowboys shit. But the thing
Yeah, and fuck
is,
the Eagles.
fuck the Eagles for a lot of reasons. I think a lot of
That's
people.
the official take of the Ubumfa podcast.
Yes.
Brad
Fuck.
Butt isn't here to defend them, so fuck the Eagles. They fucking suck, and their fan base is full of pieces of shit.
Yes. Absolutely.
No,
But anyway, we're
no,
we're in year 2 or whatever. Nick Sirianni, right? He lost his entire coaching staff. People are not talking about this. He
he
lost his
did.
entire coaching staff. He lost his OC and his DC, not just one of them,
He
both
did.
of them. He
They were
lost
on.
both. And the funny thing is, I think that, and we haven't gotten here yet, but Jonathan Gannon is going to go to Arizona, and it's going to be the worst shit we have ever seen. But
I'm excited.
yeah, and me too, exactly. Um, but, we have a complete regime change besides the head coach in
Yeah,
Philly. They lost some good pieces in that defense.
yeah,
They drafted some guys who have a ton of upside right in that first round. It was really scary seeing them get Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith. But there's reasons that those guys
Philadelphia.
fell. Yes, Georgia-Delphia. But there's reasons that those guys fell. And
True.
that's the reality of Jalen Carter. A little different because it seems like he's a knucklehead,
yeah.
and I don't know the ins and outs of exactly what he did, but it seemed pretty bad. And heard a lot of stuff about like injuries and a lot of concerns with Nolan Smith, right? But he was.
I imagine. Yeah, there's got to be something there.
Yes, but the defense is still going to be good.
It is.
The offense is going to be similar. Maybe better because Jalen Hurts another year, and he does seem like he's a good quarterback. Like, don't get me wrong, he really does. He seems like a very good quarterback.
But we're also attributing a lot of that to the coach that left.
Exactly,
and we don't know how much of it is fishing for the person or teaching them how to fish. Just with all due respect, we don't know.
Well, and what is admittedly interesting is that Philly hired Brian Johnson, who was their quarterback coach, as the OC. So
yes. They still have decent, like the coaching, from what I've read, the coaches that they've replaced or like that have stepped up are not like nobodies. Like, there's reason to assume that there's still going to be like a fine coaching staff. And obviously the head coach is usually still the most important piece. But I agree. It is a big deal to lose. And it's not uncommon to lose your OC and your DC. I mean, there was a lot of reasons for this, but we saw what happened to the Rams last year. They lost their OC to a certain team.
Yep.
And yeah, things were a little sus. But
I also forgot about this. I'd like to add, and this is just charting back before going back to Philly and Dallas, but Washington did hire Eric Bieniemy, which I've just kind of forgotten about.
They did.
I don't
that is
really
a big
know
deal
what to expect from it, but you have to imagine it could be very good. So
that is a good point. I can't believe I forgot about that too. I am also I was pretty high on that hiring. People, will talk about him, not interviewing well for a head coach position. Fine, he's not the head coach.
Literally,
doesn't matter then. He's just the OC, and I don't care what LaShawn McCoy said because he's LaShawn McCoy, and he's now gets paid to say bullshit.
That's all he does. He's just full of shit.
He is full of shit. Bieniemy has obviously a pretty proven track record in being in charge of pretty high-powered offenses. Yes, Andy Reid certainly very much involved, but even if it's just because he was working under Andy Reid, he should have some tricks up his sleeve, and I think that is going to be an upgrade for sure.
Absolutely. But Philly, it's like they've got their guys at receivers. They've got two very good receivers. They have, in my opinion, downgraded at running back. Don't even really know what to expect out of that backfield. I like Rashad Penny. I think he's a decent player. When he's on the field.
Swift is probably going to operate mostly as he's going to be the RB1, but he's also going to be the main receiving back, which I think is going to be a more accentuated role than it was with Sanders.
Yes. We'll see how that goes, because
we'll see how it goes.
It seems like we still don't really know what kind of a player Swift actually is. So
no. Yes, that is true.
They've got arguably the best O-line in the NFL, tied with not tied, but really close to the other team we're talking about here, which is the Cowboys.
And Detroit.
Yeah, Detroit's very good too. That is true. But I don't know. I hope Philly sucks, and I hope they lose all their games, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to be good. I think they're going to be similarly good, maybe a teeny bit worse, I'm hoping. I don't know, though. They could be better. They could prove us all wrong.
Again, I don't think the NFC is going to be the pushover it was last year, so we'll see. But
yes, but then... go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I didn't even have anything to say.
I mean, I guess I'm going to pivot into the Cowboys here, which... I mean, I'm a Cowboys fan.
And I also have... I don't hate the Cowboys. I don't hate the Cowboys.
People hate the Cowboys because they're told to hate the Cowboys.
True.
And people just can't get our name out their mouth and can't get us off their mind.
It is society's fault. I will say that the Cowboys are a victim of society, but also a beneficiary of society. With any time you're trying to change all of society, it's pretty much an impossible task. So,
yes,
it is what it is.
Yes,
that's that.
But here's the thing with Dallas. we're going into another year of Mike McCarthy, who makes me scratch my fucking head. But here's the thing with
I've got words for Mike McCarthy.
Yes, absolutely. Here's the thing with Mike McCarthy, right?
Mm-hmm.
When he has had Dak Prescott, that man wins games. Is the reality of it. 12 plus games a season with Dak Prescott.
Yes.
He wins games.
Sure.
If you look, we got rid of Kellen Moore, who a lot of people, I think, on the surface are going to be like, "Oh no, that's not good."
That's the main storyline, is that Kellen Moore is a huge loss for Dallas and a huge win for the Chargers.
Yeah, which could be a huge win for the Chargers. I don't not believe that.
Yeah.
But there's a reason Dallas got rid of him. I don't know why people can't seem to wrap their head around that. We could have kept him if we wanted to. You think Jerry Jones isn't going to keep that guy around? Come on. Give me a break.
Is there any part of you that thinks he was a sacrificial lamb? Of like, we need a scapegoat for why the season didn't pan out the way that, of course, the Cowboys hope for every year, and we just need a head needs to roll. It's not going to be Jerry, and it wasn't going to be Mike, and it wasn't going to be Dan.
We'll see. But I honestly, I choose to think no.
That's fair.
I don't know how Mike McCarthy is going to do calling the plays. It makes me nervous, but of
That's
course
the big question.
It's a big shakeup, but he seems like he's more interested in running the ball, which is wonderful because we have one of the most explosive running backs in the league who is not going to be hindered by 2 yard per carry Ezekiel Elliott anymore this year. He's going to get to eat and cook behind an offensive line that is going to be even better than last year. We're going to have healthy Tyron Smith. Hopefully, God, I hope, I'm crossing my fingers. Tyler Smith, who's going to be getting more experience at guard. I mean, Zach Martin's going to come back. I know he's holding out, but he's going to play. I'm not worried about it. Maybe I'll eat my words on that one. But I think he's
Jerry.
Here. Jerry, let's make it happen. Come on.
Jerry, tell your son what to do.
Please, I'm begging you.
Get it done.
Get him on the field. Terrence Steele is coming back. Everybody has forgotten about Terrence Steele,
who was one of the
great tackles in the league when he was healthy. He tore some shit. He was out.
Yep.
Line is better across the board.
Line is better. Defense is better.
Defense is better across the board. I mean, we just signed Trayvon Diggs to a big deal. He made people, including me, very angry against the Niners in the playoffs, but he's a very good corner. He's a young corner. He's a raw corner. He's just going to get better. And I think maybe the biggest acquisition for us of the offseason, there's two people, but it's Stephon Gilmore.
Stephon Gilmore is such a massive signing. People aren't talking about it enough.
Well, and beyond him still being a good player, all I read about him at training camp is just, he's helping Deron Bland, who's going to possibly break out this year, right? Another cornerback we're going to have that's going to break out. He's helping Trayvon Diggs. He's helping Dak Prescott. He's helping CeeDee Lamb. He's telling CeeDee Lamb and Brandon Cooks and Michael Gallup what they're going to run before they even run it. I mean, this man seems like he's just making everything better around him. He's one of those guys that we added for cheap, all things considered. And then there's the other piece, which is Brandon Cooks, who is an absolutely explosive receiver, has had 1,000 yards every year of his career, except maybe last year.
Last year he did not, but strong evidence indicates that Brandon Cooks quite quit last year because the Texans.
Yeah, and I mean, Jesus Christ,
we'll get to them
down there. Yes, we will. Michael Gallup is 2 years off the ACL. CeeDee Lamb is one of the best receivers in the league. He's just getting better, and he has also been a 1,000-yard plus receiver every year of his career, and he has not always benefited from Dak Prescott.
That is facts.
So you have to imagine Dak Prescott plays every game, and Tony Pollard comes back and does his thing. There's not a whole lot of a reason in my eyes why we shouldn't win the division if things work out.
Yes.
And I think we can beat. And the thing is, I think we can beat Philly twice, but we'll have to see.
Yes.
That might be what it comes down to.
Yes. If you asked me which team do I think is the best team in the NFC, I would say the Cowboys, gun to my head. Now that being said, it always has to be said, because if it isn't said, it'll be said later, which it'll probably be said later anyway, which is that the expectations are high.
Yes.
As they always are.
Every year.
And I don't know how you're feeling, but just me slightly putting myself into the shoes of a Cowboys fan from the past few years or the past 25 years. And I mean, this isn't necessarily. It's not like the window is like shutting closed, obviously, for like a Super Bowl run. But man, like
It's getting close.
It's getting close, and it's starting to feel like the Cowboys. Not that the Cowboys ever really fully blow shit up, but like man, if like we gotta see it. We gotta see an NFC Championship game.
Yeah, we do.
That is the expectation. Anything less it feels like it has to be considered a complete failure of a season. And
That's the thing, is it just straight up is. I think this is a year where those expectations are fair as well. The NFC, yes, it's going to be more competitive than last year, but it's still not amazing. And this, I would say, the second best team in the NFC is in our division. So it's like, we're going to have to see how it goes. But I feel like the pieces are all there. Dak Prescott's not going to throw 15 picks. I'm not worried about that. People who are worried about that are just looking for something negative to say about Dak Prescott.
I mean, he said he's not going to do it.
I'm taking his word for it. I'm taking his word for it.
I believe him.
I mean, in history would prove that it shouldn't happen. So
stop talking all this common sense. It's going to hurt the average casual NFL fan's ears too much.
Yeah, it does. It really does. But
yeah, NFC East. The order I have them in is Cowboys, Eagles, Commanders, Giants, which I think
I've got to go in the same way.
Yeah. NFC West. Interesting division. Similar to the NFC East in some ways. I consider a lot of these divisions as far as like there's a bit of a potential contrast between the top two teams and the bottom two teams. I guess this depends a bit on what you think of the Rams. But I did not like what I saw from the Rams last year, and there were a lot of injuries.
Yep.
A lot of injuries, which is tough. But also a loss of talent.
Yes.
On both sides of the ball.
Major loss.
And
Mr. Cup seems to be hurt again.
Mr. Cup seems to be hurt again, and we really actually don't know if Matthew Stafford can throw the football
at all.
At all, and the way that even he did when he won the Super Bowl, which even then was good, but also had some questionable elements as well.
Yes.
Which we were all happy for the Rams. We were all happy for Matthew Stafford winning the Super Bowl. All us again, as people who have lived around Detroit, fans who have lived watching Matthew Stafford play football, and play football well, and not get a lot of the recognition that he deserved because of the dog shit team and organization he played for. We were happy for him, but there was some major Super Bowl hangover on that team last year, and while I don't expect them to be as bad as I expect the Cardinals to be,
the worst team in football.
The worst team in football. That's the bar. Like they are right on that verge of if things go like last year. On any level, there's a chance that even they could be in a position. Well, no, they couldn't. They don't have the capital for it, but they don't have a first round pick, probably.
I think so.
So, I mean, they got the Super Bowl, so they don't give a fuck, and good for them. I wish I was in that position, honestly, where I could be like, oh, my team won the Super Bowl, I don't have to care anymore. But yeah, I don't think the Rams fans are, however, many there even still are in for a particularly exciting year. There really isn't even much to say about them, I feel like, honestly.
No, and I mean, if Stafford plays, I just imagine they're going to win more than 5 games. They were 5-12 last year.
Yeah, that's fair.
How many more? I don't know. We're going to have to see what's the deal is with Cooper Kupp. We have Cam Akers, who is kind of a question mark. I mean, decent back, like a lot of drama. Gets hurt.
Yeah, and drama. That was crazy. That's right. I forgot about that.
Everybody seems to have forgotten about it. It's kind of wild. That was some drama. And the defense isn't that. I mean, you got Aaron Donald, of course, but it's not that exciting otherwise. You lost Jalen Ramsey.
Von Miller.
Yeah.
Gone.
Yep. So.
Yeah.
And it seems like Sean McVay doesn't even want to do it anymore. Even though he's here, it seems like he doesn't want to do it. It seems like Stafford doesn't want to do it anymore.
They are just they've sat down. They are watching the sun set on a grateful Los Angeles.
Yep.
And yeah, It's funny. The Rams were in that, they had that window from 20 whatever 17 to 2021 where they were on the run. The Super Bowl window was there, and they went to two Super Bowls and they won one of them, and then bang.
They did.
Not all these teams have to be dynasties,
No.
Some of them just come and go.
I mean, people forget. Somehow this is what people forget. What's the goal every year? It's to win the
Super Bowl. Super Bowl.
It's that simple. You win one, you did it.
Yes.
No matter what the cost is, that's the goal.
That is the goal. Yeah, exactly. People do forget that, and yeah.
One's goal is to make the playoffs and lose in the first round.
Nobody gives. I'm sorry. Nope. Nobody is going to give a fuck about the Buffalo Bills and their dominance if they don't seal the fucking deal.
Yep.
That's the position the Bills are in. That's the position the Vikings are in every year when we're good. Is doesn't fucking matter how good we are until we fucking get that damn trophy.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it goes. But yeah, Rams be the Rams. Cardinals, I don't even think we need to talk about the Cardinals that much either. They're going to be bad.
I mean, Murray, people also seem to be forgetting that he's not going to play maybe all year.
And even if he comes back, he's coming off of an ACL. He's not going to be Kyler.
He's not going to be running around.
Even if he ever will be Kyler again, which I don't think he will, he's not going to be Kyler this year. That's for sure. And all he's got is his college teammate, Hollywood Brown.
Yep.
Trey McBride, Zach Ertz if he's ever healthy.
Rondale Moore, James Conner.
Rondale Moore, Greg Dortch. They drafted Michael Wilson, who I liked coming out of college. I don't think he's ever going to be anything huge, but as a piece of depth for a wide receiver room that desperately needed it.
Yep.
He's a more prototypical sized wide receiver. That defense is going to suck. They managed to keep Buda Baker, it seems like, somehow.
Lord, out of there.
Yeah, I don't know what he was thinking staying there. He should have gotten out. D-Hop's gone. Good for him.
Yep.
I guess.
Interesting choice, but better than
better than the Cardinals.
You've got Colt McCoy and Clayton Tune.
Which people are saying start Clayton Tune week 1. I think those people are dumb. But
yes, they are. It's how you end somebody's career before it even starts.
Behind that offensive line, I mean, I know they just drafted, one of the best O-linemen in the class, but yeah, that O-line was not. I mean, you guys remember how beat around Colt McCoy was getting out there? That dude was fighting for his life. Dude was getting the Kirk Cousins treatment.
I feel for him. I like Colt. Likable player. Good. Seems fun guy to watch. I was glad when he left Washington.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Could root for him. Somewhat.
Yeah.
But they're going to be horrible.
Yep.
They might get Caleb Williams, and Kyler Murray might never play football again.
And here's the thing. If you have the first overall pick this year, you're drafting Caleb Williams.
Mm-hmm.
No exception. There isn't a team that could get the first overall pick this year.
That wouldn't.
That if they have it, you're not trading out of the first overall pick.
Nope.
Why the fuck would you do that?
Yep.
What team got that many losses that doesn't need Caleb Williams? It's just and you could argue Arizona is quote unquote one of those teams because they signed Kyler to that big deal and they thought he was their guy, or the previous regime did, but he just doesn't have it, man. He doesn't have the leadership. He doesn't have the devotion to the game. And I don't know, man. These injuries are going to pile up on his legs. They're going to pile up on his confidence, his willingness to take risks. It's just, I don't know. It's going to be hard. And seems like they have been building up on draft picks to an extent that they are not ready to wait for Kyler to get healthy and maybe get back to his old self. And then his deal is starting to run out by that point. They're setting themselves up to get a quarterback that they can believe in and start drafting young talent.
Yep.
But yeah,
not looking good.
They get Gannon. We'll see if Gannon can turn that organization around at all, because it seemed like, even just watching Hard Knocks, it seemed like Cliff was just out of his depth.
Yes.
That's what it felt like to me. Dude just seemed like he was not built for it.
No. And I said what I said earlier. I think I don't have faith in Gannon, but we'll see. I feel like he could end up being gone very soon. Just on
Yep.
what I've seen and what I've heard and what I know. I
Yeah. I
have
mean,
high hopes, but
it's tough though because if there is a soft plan, which I don't know how you have a soft plan when Kyler's in the building about this. Like, how do you talk about this?
yep.
But if the soft plan is if you expect to suck this year and then you maybe draft Caleb Williams, I mean, you have to have at least enough foresight to say, well, we don't want Caleb Williams to have Gannon for a year, and then like we move on to somebody else. It's also strange to get Gannon for just like 1 year and say, oh, we get Gannon, we suck, and then we use that as an excuse to get rid of Gannon, and then we draft Caleb Williams and get a head coach specifically for him. I don't know how that's going to work out. Just seems kind of not optimal unless you're planning on having Gannon at least for a handful of years. Maybe they don't plan on getting Caleb Williams at all. Maybe those dumbasses think Kyler is going to be their boy for the next 4 or 5 years. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll see. I don't think I'm part of that party, but
And well, I mean, science would say there because maybe actually I don't know if this is a myth or not, but maybe there's science would say after a certain point Kyler might actually start getting shorter
oh
as he
man,
gets older.
yeah,
Who knows?
Who knows?
All right, this is where the interesting stuff starts to come out. Seahawks.
They're an interesting one.
On paper, they're a pretty good team.
Yes,
is how I feel. That defense, they have drafted very well.
Yep.
In that defense, they've drafted very well in that offense.
And I mean, if Jason hits, which he's gonna
be good. Yeah.
Probably have the best wide receiver trio in the league.
Absolutely. The moment they drafted him, they had the best wide receiver trio in the NFL. Yep. Which is absurd and kind of annoying.
Yeah.
So it feels like with many teams, it's going to fall on the shoulders of Geno Smith, on the quarterback.
Yes.
Because I think that defense is going to be good. Got a lot of really good young athletic freaks on that defense. The offense has every reason. They have the craziest weapons, and they've got a good head coach. It's just a question: can Geno keep the ship afloat? Because he has to.
Yes.
Because we were not buying into this team with Geno Smith last year.
No.
Geno Smith had to play exceptional football to keep the ship afloat, and he did for most of the season. And he's got to do it again. And man, it's a bizarre situation. It's not often you see a quarterback, remember how to play football.
Yeah.
Like that. Because you just don't know how to project forward. You don't know. Did he remember for good? Is he going to take a bad hit in practice and forget again?
For real. Bad hit where? Taking a couple of those.
If I were him, I'd be calling up Tua saying, "Who's your judo guy?"
For real. They probably could benefit him. But I just, I wasn't like, I'm not saying I was going and watching a ton of Seahawks games, but just what I saw, the eye test last year, it just was never that impressive to me. I mean, he made some good throws, but so does every quarterback. And I just don't know if he's going to do it again. I don't know. And the thing is, like last year, they were only 9-8. They were barely over 500.
Yes. Yes, very true. And again, the NFC has gotten harder. Now, when I've said that the NFC gets harder, the Seahawks are one of the teams I've been talking about. I think of when I say that, of like, okay, the Seahawks are going to probably be better and are going to be a genuine contender this year, as far as like a playoff spot, as opposed to squeaking by the grace of the Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
And then getting destroyed by Big Cock Brock.
Yep.
Who we'll get to. But yeah. we'll see. There's some questions. People are ready to crown Gino as like he's back, baby, and we'll see. We'll see. He's got a better team around him. Seems like.
Yep.
Uh, it'll be up to him, and that is the situation the Seahawks have put themselves in this year with the deal that they gave him to say this team will live or die on whether or not Geno Smith can do his thing.
Yep.
So, and then, yeah. And you get Ken Walker, who hopefully he gets healthy. Charbonnet sounds like he's getting back.
Yep. Which I mean, like it was kind of a head scratcher, but that's a good backfield.
It is a very good backfield,
and that's going to take some pressure off Geno.
That is very true. Yeah. But they've got DK, got Tyler Lockett, they got Jason.
Yep.
Underrated Noah Fant.
A lot of tight ends that they like. They love their tight ends. They have so many of them.
And they got Drew Lock with a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah. Yeah, QB battle at camp this year.
Speaking of what a segue. Speaking of quarterback battles. 49ers.
Is there one?
No. But that's the big thing. Unless you have something more you want to say with the Seahawks.
No. Nope.
Perfect. 49ers. Man. They're one of those teams that's just like, I expect them to be good. I expect them to be contenders. Like they have been every year for the past, 4 or 5 years, it feels like. Regardless of who's the quarterback. Now, what's scary to me, and some people are still kind of on the other side of this fence, but what's scary to me is that everything I've been hearing and everything we saw last year indicates that the 49ers don't just have like anybody at quarterback. They've got a dog at quarterback. That's what I've been hearing. That's what I saw last year. Is that they got a guy who can actually like win games. He can play off structure. The team seems to love him. Which the 49ers are one of the few teams where like it seems like they fucking live or die on vibes.
Yes.
Like they loved Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't care what people say about Jimmy Garoppolo. They loved him, and the fan base loved him. And that seems to make a difference in how the team played.
Yeah.
And it seems like the same deal with Brock, where they all love Brock. And that seems to be like half the battle for them. Yep. It's like, okay, we got a quarterback we believe in. Guess we're going to play our asses off and be one of the most physical teams in football. So they've lost some pieces on the defense and to a lesser extent on the offense, but as well, they have lost some talent, but they also have who is going to be the next Justin Tucker, kicking their extra points and field goals every week.
Yes, my dog Jake
Moody, out of Michigan. I guess that's the other wrinkle here. We're both Michigan fans.
Did mention that we
Cowboys drafted a couple Michigan boys.
Yep. I was happy about one. The other one seems like a bust, but hey, you win some, you lose some.
You win some, you lose some. But yeah, they got Jake Moody, which people just didn't know. I remember reading, draft analyses, and people just didn't know. People were unaware of Jake Moody's game, and so they're about to find out. They let Robbie Gould leave, knowing we got a dog coming down the pipe.
Yep. Yeah, they do.
So can't understate that. You have a high-powered offense like they always do. They have probably maybe still has to be considered the best offensive mind in football.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah. Like I know McVay was in that conversation when they were in their prime, but feels like at least since last year it's got to be Shanny.
Yep. So should be hopefully back to.
Yep.
He should be better.
Which is a terrifying thought when you consider the fact that Debo was having an off year last year, and they still got as far as they did.
13 games.
They didn't lose a single last 8 games. They didn't lose.
Nope. They were on a
Yeah,
10-win streak going into the playoffs.
absurd.
Or
Yeah,
playoffs, I'm not sure, but
I think the 10 is including the playoffs. They like won 10 straight games.
yeah, I think you're right.
Because they won the 2 playoff. They won the 8 regular season and the 2 playoff.
Yes, and it took Brock Purdy's arm to stop working for them to lose.
He literally, yeah. That is gonna be like a, yeah,
Big what if. Really
yeah.
big.
Of course, I mean, it would have been a better game for sure. But it is just one of those like, wow, the team didn't have a quarterback in the divisional round of the playoffs, or the NFC Championship. What am I saying? Yeah. So I put the 49ers right up there with the Cowboys and Eagles.
Yes.
If Brock is truly as good as he's been, which is everything. I mean, everything that we've heard is that he is. And I mean, the scary thing again, Brock was a rookie last year. It's like there's obviously the assumption that not that he has an insanely high ceiling. I don't think he does, but again, if he plays as good as he played last year, they don't need much more because he was playing like a veteran.
Yep.
So
wasn't making mistakes. It's literally
nope.
crucial. He was not making mistakes at all.
Getting the ball out of his hands.
Yep.
Throwing dots. It was, and I mean, I don't know. You got fucking the best running back in football, or I mean, maybe the best weapon.
Yes.
Offensive weapon in football.
Yeah.
And Christian McCaffrey.
I think so.
I mean, people were saying the same thing about Deebo Samuel 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So if he's back, you have to start thinking that way. And Brandon Ayuk is good. George Kittle is great.
Even like Elijah Mitchell, I mean, is
Elijah Mitchell's good. Yeah. They've been able to rely on Jennings in big moments to get first downs. I mean,
yes, they have.
Yeah. This is one of those divisions where it's like it seems pretty clear to me how it's going to shake out.
I feel
like I'm assuming
they're going to finish the same way.
Same order as last year. Seems likely.
But I don't even know if the Cardinals will get 4 wins.
Yeah, the Cardinals schedule real quick. Are there any?
I mean, they get to play the Rams twice.
That's huge.
Help them, you know.
So that might be one guaranteed. At the St. Louis Cardinals. Cardinal teams. All right, they got the Commies. It's their opening day. Giants, Cowboys. Oh man, they play the NFC East. They're fucked.
Yeah,
Cowboys, Niners, Bengals,
Ooh.
Rams, Seahawks, Ravens, Browns. Play the Falcons. Play the Texans.
Okay.
Play the Rams again. Play the Steelers, Niners, Bears, Eagles, Seahawks. So not as bad as it could be.
No, but I still don't know if they're going to win 4 games.
It's hard to imagine that they're actually better than that many of those teams that are that we listed that are potential W's for them.
Yeah.
God,
they were 1-8 at home last year. It was unfortunate.
Yeah. It's also frustrating because there's a part of me that and I guess this is just the way it goes. I mean, this is what it's like when you had to draft Trevor Lawrence in Dynasty first overall. When he went to the Jaguars. Is there's part of me that really wants to be in a position to draft Caleb Williams in Dynasty.
Yes.
But man's going to feel bad when he's in the fucking Cardinals next year.
Yeah. Indeed it will.
Yeah. So that's the NFC.
There they are.
I feel like the playoff teams in the NFC this year are division winners, Vikings, Saints. I mean, you see Cowboys, Eagles, Niners. And then I imagine it's going to be like the Lions and the Seahawks and the Commanders/Giants battling.
Yeah, and I mean, one of
the wild card
Cowboys teams is probably going to be 5th seed. We'll see.
Yeah.
Could be.
And one of them will be 1st seed.
Yes. If the Seahawks pan out like that, they could be battling for that 5th spot too, but
true.
It's going to be like 5 or 6 probably for whatever NFC East team doesn't win.
Yeah.
I feel like we might see a lot of the same teams.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It
Not the Bucks.
doesn't. Yeah, it's just not the Bucks. And then NFC South just didn't feel like it got better enough to
Nope.
really put any of the other teams except the Saints on their radar.
Yep.
And because I mean, Derek Carr's played in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I mean, he's been there.
Been there.
Um, Jared Goff's been to the playoffs.
Yep.
I mean, Gino's been to the playoffs now.
Yep.
But
Purdy's been, Jalen Hurts has been, Dak Prescott's been.
Danny's been there.
He's been there.
But Jordan Love's has not actually been to the. I mean, he hasn't played in the playoffs. He's been dragged there.
Yes.
Justin Fields hasn't sniffed the playoffs. Sorry, buddy.
No, he hasn't. I don't think that changes.
Yeah, so. Yeah, we'll see. It should be a stronger NFC overall. I don't know if the highs are going to be as high, even though the teams maybe are better. But we're not going to see teams maybe getting off with. Maybe one team gets like a 13-win season. I have a hard time seeing a 14-win season.
Yep.
In these
we only had
teams.
one last year in the NFC.
Yeah,
So.
I don't see that happening. So, yeah, that's the NFC.
There they are.
Do we want to take a break?
Let's do it.
Just stopping recording and then recording again.